Welcome to an episode of All the Different Ways to Run 800. I'm your host, Nico Schultz, who's ran every type of 800 you could possibly think of, from amazing to mid to terrible and everything else in between. So why am I qualified to be talking about how to run different 800s? Well, if you look here, these are my stats for how many 800s I have run, my personal bests, and how many times I've hit those marks. So if I go through these, I've hit 147 once, my personal best, 148 3 times, 149 3 times, 150 twice, 151 twice, and so on and so forth, right? And let's go ahead and kick off with the very first strategy that all my high schooler kids, middle schoolers, the younger crowd can relate to, even the college crowd, but this was how I originally learned how to run the 800, and it's the classic conservative sit and kick. Now, the sit and kick is very easy. You get out, you stick with the front pack, you're in position of maybe 2, 3, 4, whatever the case may be, right? And you're just sitting behind the top guy, waiting for your moment to strike. Through the first 200, you are not tired. You are jogging. You are literally going for a stroll in the park. 400, you're still waiting and just feeding off the energy off that front runner, waiting for your time to strike. Now from 4 to 6, you'll probably gradually increase a little bit, but you're still waiting for that last 200. All my high schoolers know about this because I was the same way in high school. I would wait until that last 200 meter and then bam, everything I had. It literally looked like I was even trying up until that point, which I literally wasn't. And then I would sit and kick, bam, like 210, 215, all the mediocre marks, right? And we don't want mediocre marks, we want great marks. But that is a way to run the 800. It's the conservative sit and kick where you save all your energy up until the last 200, last 150, and if you're really crazy, the last 100 meters. The best time I've ever gotten out of a sit and kick was a 159. And I was a sophomore in high school, and I beat this senior, and I beat him at the conference championship, and I really wasn't satisfied with the time, neither was my coach, because he knew that I was capable of a lot more. I think I came across 400 in about 61 seconds, and it closed in like 58, and it ran 159.9 or 159.7, whatever the case may have been. But this one is a very conservative racing tactic. I actually just ran this at the Big Ten Championship, a conservative 800, where we got out our first 457 seconds, and then we ended up closing 52 because of how fast we ran that last 400 meters. So the sit and kick is for strategic racing. If you're a younger runner, getting used to the 800, or if you're just feeling up for that type of day. Another way or another time you would run a conservative 800 is if the weather is really bad. If it's really windy, it's really rainy, and nobody's willing to take it out and die because of the environmental elements, you're probably going to run a sit and kick 800. So let's go ahead and move on to our next point, our next racing strategy, the aggressive get out and hold on for your life. Guys, I cannot tell you how many times I have ran an 800 meter like this. In high school, really towards the back end of my career, I was running very aggressive because I was going for a scholarship, and I knew that the only way I was going to get a fast time was if I got out my first 400 meters. And so getting out fast your 400 meters, it is different for everybody. When I was in high school, I would get out really aggressive my first 7 seconds and then just kind of literally hang on. So a perfect example I can think of this in high school was when I ran 154 indoors and 156, kind of that 154 to 156 range. I would be getting out anywhere about like 55, 56 seconds, and then holding on and closing out in a 60, which really isn't crazy, but definitely those last 100 meters, last 50 meters, my arms were getting real lactic, my legs felt like bricks, and you kind of are running this race, one, if you don't have any competition, or two, you want to put or invoke fear into your competition. If they see you get out those first 400 meters, and let's say you do open up in 56, right, and your opponent gets out in 61, you know how much energy it's going to take for them to make up those 6 seconds in order to catch you. It's going to be very threatening, very daunting, and it's going to almost put your opponent in a position to doubt themselves and be like, oh my gosh, am I running the race wrong? Am I doing something wrong? And so even if you do die the last 100, you are so far ahead that it really doesn't even matter. Now, if you end up dying prematurely, like I have done numerous times, that is where it turns bad. There's been multiple races where I've gotten out in like 25 seconds, like 53 seconds, 52 seconds, 51 seconds even, and then the last 200 was just disgusting. A prime example of this that I can remember, at least so far in my collegiate career, is if we took a trip down to Baylor, and I opened up my first 224 seconds, my first 451 seconds, and my first 600 in 119. And I was not in the type of shape I am near in today, and my body just was not able to handle that. So I opened up in 51. Do you want to guess what my last 400 was? 58, bro. I ran 149 flat. And it was so bad, and my body was on 10 after, dude. I literally, like my back was like arched. I'm like this. I could barely even finish the race. My coach had to scrape me off the track. I think I was down for the count for like 25, 30 minutes afterwards because I was just hurting so bad. And that is a way to run the 800. You will see a lot of runners get out ridiculously fast and absolutely just die out after. And granted, this does work sometimes. It depends on your body, it depends on your training, it depends how healthy you are, how much race experience you have. But I have ran a lot of get outs and holds. And I will say the scenario that you will run this in is what I mentioned before. If you want to invoke fear into your opponents and get out real quick and to the point to where you take away their confidence and make them think that they won't be able to catch you, or you do it if you have no competition and you want to push yourself and you really want to see if your body can hang on and maintain, especially those last 200 to 300 meters, because you're just getting out crazy aggressive and holding on and maintaining your form and all the power you built up those first 400 to 500 meters. And which leads me into our last point, the most efficient way, in my personal opinion, on how to run the 800 meter run. And I call this maintain and gain. And I just made that up, but it is 100% true. So when I ran my 147.7 and I was racing an Olympian, I was racing another 146, I was racing some top tier athletes, right? The best athletes that the NCAA had to offer. And I got out my first 225 seconds. Now, if you told that to my high school self, I would be like, no way, you are crazy. But the type of conditioning and the type of shape that I'm in currently here in college as a 21-year-old junior, that is how my training has aligned. I've done a lot of hard training. All the training that I've done built up to this point has put me in a position to be able to go out in 25. And it's not 25 low, it's 25 high. It was like 25.99, so let's not get crazy. So basically 26, right? And I got out my first 400 meters in 52.7 seconds, 52.7, 52.6, and I felt good. I felt really under control, and it was to the point to where I got out in 52, and I almost was kicking it up a little bit. Now, granted, my splits didn't increase. They didn't really change by that much. If anything, they got a little bit slower, but I felt like I was gaining, and I felt like I had more in the tank, and I felt like if it turned into a dead sprint, my body would be in a position to be able to sprint. And no matter what type of shape you're in, whether you're in 204 shape, 208, 215, if you want to run a good race, most of the time you are going to run even splits, which basically means, let's say I want to run 154, for example. You're going to go, 152. You're going to go 56, and you're going to go 56. And in my case, when I ran my 147, it was like 52 high and then 54 high, which was 147.7, right? And I put myself in a position to be able to run like that because I got out so efficiently my first 200, efficiently my first 400, and even my 600 meter split was at 119.9, I want to say. So basically 120, and I closed out in like 27 seconds, right? And maintain and gain is great because those last 200 meters, you still have something in the tank. I was able to kick with the last 100 meters because I was so efficient through the first 600, 700 meters that I really wasn't dead. Even after the race, I really wasn't crazy dead. I was tired, it hurt, but the way that I covered ground and the way that each one of my steps was propelling me forward and keeping me within the loop of the race, that is why this strategy, in my personal opinion, is so efficient and will put you in a position for success. And whatever your numbers are and wherever you are in your 800 meter journey, just know about all these different strategies. Like I said, the conservative sit and kick, you're going out there basically going for a stroll those first 600 meters, everything you have the last 200. The aggressive strategy where you get out crazy aggressive your first 400 meters and hang on and just basically pray that you make it to the finish line. And then the efficient maintaining gain where you're slowly covering more and more ground throughout the entire race, and you really are not faster or slower than a certain point. You are just slowly building, and then everything you have those last 100 meters. And I've had a lot of good 800 meter races where I've gotten out in each one of these different strategies. And I've had a lot of bad 800 meters where I've gotten out in each one of these different strategies. Each race brings something new and different to the table, a new perspective, a new way to view the race, a new way to understand yourself better as an athlete. And that is why I love the 800 meters so much, because it is such a unique race and it's such a combination of sprints and distance and combining this into this 800 meter, 1500 meter, 600 meter type of runner, type of mid-distance endurance athlete. And so that's all I have for you guys today is these 3 different ways to run the 800. I hope that this helps you, and I hope that you can go ahead and PR. So go ahead and drop those PRs down in the comments, man. And also, I created a community tab where you guys can join the community and get EA access to a bunch of different cool exclusive things. I got some merchandise coming out, posters, signed posters. If you guys are going ahead and check that out. So hopefully if I make the Olympics one day, you guys can flip them for a little penny. So that's all I have for you guys today. And as always, everybody, keep on running fast. This has been Nico Schultz. We out. Peace.